What is the difference in this playoff series and with Colorado? It's a completely different type of team, it seems like to me, or it's just hockey.
Longer flight, for
It is
sure.
a longer flight.
Different color jerseys. White out here.
Style of play, they're very good defensively, and
Very
not
good
to say
defensively.
Colorado wasn't, but they were just a different.
Yeah, very
More
good
impressive.
defensively. Big bodies over there. Physical team for sure. Well coached, pretty detailed. So those are things I'll take away from going into the series and see how the first game goes.
Their series was very home and road intensive. You guys seem to play kind of consistent, whether you're home or road. Does that make a difference when you're scouting them to see what they did differently at home and on the road?
It wasn't talked about, so
Okay.
I don't run the pre-scouts. But no, it wasn't really discussed. Obviously,
They're very good in this building.
they're a great team in this building. When you're on the road, you really have to focus in on your details, how simple you play, how much you play as a group, and when we're starting on the road, you focus on stealing one.
Is this a budding rivalry? I know you've had it with other teams, Vegas or Colorado, but we really haven't seen them in the playoffs, even though they're the division champions.
Yeah, if you haven't called it, I'm sure it's going to become one. It's just how playoffs are. Sometimes you can get into feeling the opponent out, and we're going to try to avoid that.
How do you guys get to Connor Hellebuck?
Just get in front of him. He's a world-class goalie, elite goalie, so hopefully if he can't see the puck, sometimes it's harder to stop it. Kind of simple math that we're thinking about, and just try to get some early.
Good to have Jason Robertson back tonight. How huge would it be for the team? I know scoring wise is going to be big, but what else about him?
Yeah, it's just another threat to throw into our team. A lot of guys up front can score goals, and Robo brings that. He brings some experience too, going on some runs with us the last few years. So we're excited to have him back if he is in fact back.
You've only been here for 8 games, but if they shuffle the way it looked like in practice, is that a challenge at all?
8 games. Oh, I see what you're saying.
But I'm saying, so a shuffle for you wouldn't be as significant as, say, guys who've had their lines together for a little bit longer. But you on that line, I know. But you had good chemistry with that line and played together pretty much every game in the first round. And it looks like it might be different tonight.
It looks like it may. So you go out, you focus on your shift, what you can do to help your line, and whoever that may be with. When you look around this room and see who you have in here, sometimes things get flipped around to see what works the best, and sometimes it works for a game or two, and then you got to flip it back around, and that's not my job. So I just try to have fun, and we're going to try to win the first game on the road here.
When you came back, you and Jamie were out on practice and different things. Is that a fun relationship? You may be with him again. You've been with him on the power play before. It's just you've been doing this for a decade.
I appreciate you saying just a decade.
Longer.
Yeah, Jamie and I have a fun friendship. Always enjoyed playing with him. Not as much over the last few years, but when you get the odd chance, I'm excited.
I just wanted to ask you, if I may, about a former teammate of yours, John Klingberg, and what he's been able to do with the Oilers. For a while it looked like who knew if he'd come back at all.
Yeah.
And just what he's been able to do.
Yeah, there seems to be stories like that left, right, center right now. Obviously not to Gabe's extent, talked about him a lot last round, but excited for Klinger. Excited to see what he's doing out there and making a difference and having an impact, and I think it's great for him and his family.
You've asked you, but what is that like? Just having to be away from the team, to rehab, then to come back and say my body isn't what it used to be, and I got to adjust.
Yeah, it's hard, especially the adjustment parts. I think deep down you're always going to have a voice just wanting you to judge yourself based off of when you're 24.
Yeah.
Right? So those are things you fight, and then if you can't do certain things, you try to reevaluate your game. You try to, maybe it's penalty killing, and maybe Klinger's playing really good defensively. I don't know. I haven't watched too much of the series, but there's little things that you just grow, and that comes with experience. And we all just love the game, right? So we just want to be a part of it and be a part of the emotions, being a part of having a coach yell anything, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just what you miss when you're out and what you appreciate when you're back.
How much different?
Yeah, you can talk about the experience, there's a lot of experience in that room. So how much do you rely on that? in this journey?
All the time. I mean, always. I mean, whether you're down a game in the series or you got to win a game on the road or you're down a goal or two in a period, I mean, you always kind of touch back into the experiences. It's an unfortunate way sports are, but they always seem to have to be that you got to lose a lot to win. You got to tap back into those moments and those feelings and experiences, and that's usually the team that goes a far way is the ones that have experience.
What is the difference between Colorado and Winnipeg? There seem to be different types of hockey that you might be seeing, or is it just hockey?
They're different teams, but it's still hockey. They're a little better defensively, I think. They're probably a little heavier. But, I mean, they got talented forwards. They're fast off the rush, and they transition the puck well, so it's really similar but different.
When you played them in the regular season, it seems like patience was a key against them. Is that accurate, or just seems like they counterattack very well, that the games are, more of a chess match a little bit in the games you played during the regular season?
Yeah, I mean,
Who knows?
they were the best team in the league for a reason. They're a good team. They defend well. They counterattack well. They don't give you any free offense, so we're going to have to work for it tonight and get pucks and buys to the net.
If Jason comes back, what have you seen from him? And when you're out there in practice, he obviously likes the puck on his stick and likes to shoot a lot.
Yeah, that's Robo in a nutshell. He's a shooter. He looks good in practice. He looks normal to me.
Does he bring energy? Because it seems like he does.
I hope so. He's been resting for a couple weeks now, so he's got fresh legs. But yeah, he'll be a boost to our team, boost to our forward group, and hopefully he can score.
As a representative of Team Canada, are playoff games up here different when you played in Edmonton or in other places? It seems like it gets revved up.
I don't know. I mean, I think the whiteout tonight will be cool. I haven't seen that before in person, so it'll be interesting to see that. But playoffs are cool wherever.
Leah?
Any decisions yet on Jason or Miro?
Miro's out. Jason, game time decision.
What are the biggest challenges that the Winnipeg Jets pose for you?
That's a good question. Where do you start? I mean, President's Trophy winning team. They did it all year. Obviously, really good defensive structure. The best goaltender in the league. And then they've got a combination. They defend well, and they can also, quick strike offense with some of their key guys. So, they credit to their coaches and how they're built. They've got a real identity to their game that you have to, get past.
Peter Kelly Moore from 680 CJOB in Winnipeg. Welcome to the Western Conference semifinal. Is there any advantage for your team in light of the turnaround and in light of the dramatic endings to each of those Game 7s, but because you've had to do that before, do you get any kind of a benefit at all going into tonight?
Yeah, no, I think it all evens out. I mean, they played some overtime, but they were at home and didn't have to travel. We both coming off really emotional Game 7 wins. I think both teams are on about as even a playing field that way as you can get, considering how those two series ended. That's pretty rare that you would get two Games 7s like that back to back.
You just came off a real back and forth series, and they did as well, a bit of a coaching chess match. I wonder how much do coaches borrow from the way that the previous team that challenged your opponent, how much do you borrow from something that Jim Montgomery would have done in that series?
Oh, I think that's all part of our pre-series planning. We'd be crazy not to look at what we felt St. Louis did well and what where we felt St. Louis maybe fell short that we would have to be better at. So I think that's the recency factor is always critical, when you're pre-scouting, and there's no more recency than the 7 games those two teams just played, and so we've looked at that pretty heavily.
in that series, home and road was a really big difference. Do you look at that at all? You guys have been fairly consistent between home and road, and that seems like that was a big swing for those
well,
teams.
I think, listen, they have a real home ice advantage here. They've shown that, and it's a tough building to win in. And they earned the right to have home ice advantage by winning the President's Trophy. So that's on us to come in here and find a way to win a game and try and wrestle that home ice advantage back.
You've seen him as an opponent for a long time, but what does a comfortable Mikko Rantanen mean for your group?
Well, I mean, he's a game changer, right? You saw that last game, but he's a game changer in a league where, everybody's only got one of those guys, maybe two. The teams that are the 8 teams left probably have a couple each. I think the games get tight checking. The scores get lower. There's less and less room, and those type of players have the ability to make something out of nothing. And he did that the other night for us, and that's sometimes what separates teams this time of year.
Hey, Pete. If Jason is back, what kind of boost does that give the group, and what have you learned about him and his ability in the playoffs in these last 2 runs?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously instant offense, right? He's our best goal scorer. Probably Mikko aside. But also what you realize with Robo, he's a big body and he plays a heavy game, a playoff type game. He's hard on pucks. He protects pucks. He goes to scoring areas on the ice. So we he's good on the walls. We missed him since he's been out. So that's a nice add for us if we can get him back in.
The country got a glimpse of Thomas Harley at Four Nations when he was called into duty, but how would you describe his emergence, especially now with Miro being out for as long as he's been? Well,
we wouldn't be standing here today still playing if he doesn't come and do what he does from the Four Nations break on. He backfilled Miro's spot on the power play, playing against the best players, extra minutes, lugging the puck up and down the ice. Miro, you don't realize how much of that Miro did until he's out of the lineup. And really Thomas, if he doesn't come in and fill those roles for us, we're not standing here today. So he came back from the Four Nations playing at a different level, and he's continued to do that.
Peter, in light of your personal track record, have you considered hiring a hypnotist to convince your players this is Game 7 and not Game 1?
Yeah, it shows you how much good fortune is involved in records either way, and how little control you have. I mean, it's not like I'm coaching harder in Game 7 than I am in Game 1, and I've got to get my head out of my ass, so to speak. And you can't hold that on the players either. I think everybody wants to win every game in the playoffs, and everyone understands the significance of winning the first game, or of not getting behind in a series. So it's not like that isn't on our radar, but we'll be ready to play.
What'd you learn about Scott Arniel working with him at the Worlds of 1 year?
Yeah, I'm real happy for Arnie. I think I worked with him a long time ago. He was still head coach in Columbus at the time, so you're going back, what is that now, 10 years ago? I thought he got, like a lot of young coaches in the league, I went through it. You don't always get the best situation when you come into the league, and that's just reality. I got the good fortune of, getting a second chance immediately with Lou Lamoriello, and I'll always be grateful for that. But not everyone gets that second chance, and it's how do you reroute your career? And I give Arnie a ton of credit. He took a step back and he went as an associate or an assistant, in a lot of different places with a lot of really good coaches, and he's earned the right to be here, and he's showing he's an elite coach. Okay, thank you.